Hello and welcome to your advanced Java programming course, and in this video we're going to be discussing the isLetter method. Now before we begin, I've got to first introduce a variable known as the Boolean variable. The Boolean variable can contain three values only: true, false, and null if there is no value. This variable comes in handy when checking certain things. In this case, we're going to be checking a character. But before we get to that, let's first start by creating a Boolean variable. It's as simple as creating any other variable. We first type in Boolean, B-O-O-L-E-A-N, and then we give it a name, so let's just say test equals, and then we could say true or false, so true. There we go, we have now created a Boolean variable and have given it a value. In other words, we have initialized and instantiated a variable. Now we're going to use this variable when testing our character. So before we begin checking characters, we must first create a variable to contain that. Now a character is one value, so we use a char variable. So let's just call it char ch equals, and now we are going to ask the user to enter in a value. So we use JOptionPane dot show input dialog. And now since it's a char variable, we're going to convert this string that the user will enter into a char. So we add the .charat method at the very end. So we'll place a 0 in the brackets, so it'll be the first letter that the user enters. We're going to ask the user to enter in any type of character, so we can say enter character, number, or letter. Now the charat method will pick the very first letter, number, or character that the user writes in their string, and we're going to use this Boolean test variable. Now instead of giving it the value true, we're going to start by using the method. The method isLetter comes from the character class, so we type in character dot is letter and then brackets. As you can see, it's already auto-generated the nearest char, which is in fact ch, so we'll leave it as is. What this will then do is take that character variable and check to see if it is a letter. The output of this check will be either true or false, and if there is no value, null. So if ch is in fact a letter, the Boolean test variable will have the value true. But how are we going to test that out? We use an if statement. We'll type if test equals true, and in between our brackets we'll create a system out print line that will tell us whether the character is in fact a letter or not. So we'll say ch plus, and then in our quotation marks is a letter. I have now created an else in addition to the if statement, so that way it will tell us if the variable is not a letter. And with that, let's start running our program. The very first thing that should appear is the input dialog. It does appear. It asks us to enter in a character, number, or letter. So I'm going to type a letter first. So let's say the letter G. And as you can see, our if statement works correctly. G is a letter. Now I'm going to run the program again, and this time I'm going to enter in a number. 5 is not a letter, which is correct. And we're going to also use a character. So let's use the dollar symbol. And the dollar symbol is not a letter as well. Now let's go a step further and try using a capital letter, so capital G. And capital G is still a letter. So our character.isLetter method has worked correctly in returning a Boolean variable that tells us whether a char is either a letter or not. Boolean variables and the isLetter method will no doubt come in handy when checking variables. In the next video, we're going to be discussing the isDigit method.